So here's my audience. Oh my god. There we go. Okay. So my speech today is on effects of sleep deprivation on the brain. The purpose is to describe the short-term and long-term effects of sleep deprivation on the brain and body, as well as to inform the audience as to why it is bad for one's health to be sleep deprived. And for the purposes of this speech, I have utilized multiple sources of research and statistics to inform my audience, to inform my audience on these effects. So I have an issue with staying up late watching Netflix. I find myself saying just one more episode, maybe one more season sometimes. This also happens in terms of studying when I'm saying, all right, I can read one more chapter, I can do one more problem. And normally I end up always not getting enough sleep as to what is recommended. So according to the CDC, 1 in 3 Americans actually get the recommended amount of sleep, which is 7 to 9 hours. So that leaves over 60% of the population not getting enough sleep, in most cases sleep deprived. So knowing that the majority of the population does not sleep enough, how does this affect the brain in short term? So short-term effects on the body and the brain, lack of sleep can inhibit overall cognitive function. This causes a person to be easily distracted, forgetful, and overly stressed. Me most of the time, I've realized after doing the research for this speech. It can also, decrease cognitive function, which can cause decreased alertness, which will obviously affect your performance in work, school, different athletic activities, and things like that. Another example of short-term effects is, so like I said, in terms of studying, all-nighters, they seem to be much more common around finals week and before tests, things like that. So this is short-term sleep deprivation. So we're going around 24 or more hours without sleep. This can cause major deficits in motivation, perception, and other higher mental processes like problem solving, and can drastically slow down your metabolism as well as your digestive system, which is something that I was not aware of before this happened, before I researched for this speech. After hearing the short-term effects, now we will go into the long-term effects. So the brain, sleep deprivation can definitely cause memory issues. The brain makes important neural connections during sleep that help process and remember information. This is caused when the hippocampus, the part of the brain that forms memories, it cannot function properly without enough sleep because these neural connections that are made, they cannot be, not a lot of neural connections can be made when you're not getting enough sleep at all. So if you're sleeping less than 7 hours a night, a lot of students, they can't remember information as well as normal. So normally what ends up happening, if you pull an all-nighter to study for a test, you're not going to remember hardly any of that information because your hippocampus is not functioning properly. Day-to-day brain function can also be negatively impacted by long-term sleep deprivation. This can come with problems with concentration and problem solving, as well as a lack of creativity. People who are sleep deprived over long-term periods of time also become moody, emotional, and quick-tempered. This would explain a lot of stress in students, especially when there's a test coming. Also, I learned while researching for this speech that anxiety and depression can stem from chronic sleep deprivation, which is definitely totally not something that I knew, but it makes a ton of sense if you think about it. So then, finally, we'll go on to how sleep deprivation affects overall health in your body over long periods of time. So, over long periods of time, with chronic sleep deprivation, your immune system becomes extremely weak. So this means that it is difficult for the body to defend against germs that cause the common cold and flu. This can also chronic sleep deprivation can also lead to heart issues. Hold on. Going back to the weakened immune system for a second. This can also cause repeated infections, swollen lymph nodes, persistent and prolonged colds, slow healing of wounds, and constant fatigue. That all comes along with a weakened immune system. And then the second point of effects on overall health, I'm sorry, I did not get enough sleep last night. Effects on overall health chronic sleep deprivation can also lead to heart issues. This is risk of high blood pressure and increased blood pressure and higher levels of chemicals linked to inflammation, which can also lead to heart disease. This is also linked to slowed digestive system. That can also play a role in heart health. So, in closing, today we have discussed short-term and long-term effects of sleep deprivation and the negative effects on the brain and body, cognitive function, and day-to-day function of chronic sleep deprivation. And hopefully before you say one more episode or one more chapter, you'll remember some of these facts before staying up late again. Thank you. So, this is my closing audience. Thank you. All right.
See her little trick work.